we had spent 12 months, more than 12 months, to build an AI for our use cases.
You need to make being an AI first culture in your organization. And this sponsorship has to come from CEO and cascade downwards to everybody. Look at the 10x possibility. What can AI do for you?
AI COEs need to be an AI factory, right? They need to enable you to churn out AI, obviously driving business outcomes, but it needs to be a model that can help you really derive, benefit out of, all the structures you've put in place.
The potential risk of using AI, and if AI gives the wrong answer or something like that, the potential risk is so much worse than just getting a wrong answer in retail AI. It's not just losing money, it's like losing lives.
AI isn't just hype. It's already transforming industries like healthcare, aviation, and finance. In this episode, we sit down with leaders from Google, Kyndryl, Singapore Aero Engine Services Private Limited, and Mirxes to explore the breakthroughs, the challenges, and the future of AI in Singapore and beyond. You'll hear how AI is helping diagnose cancer faster, predict aircraft engine failures, and even reimagine the possibilities of genomics. This is the story of how Singapore is becoming an AI-first nation and what that means for businesses everywhere. This is a podcast in collaboration with Kyndryl and Google.
In Singapore, we are not just talking about AI, we are building it. One of the biggest challenges ahead of us is, our ability to visualize far exceeds our ability to execute. We are all able to visualize how AI can solve many a problem, but how do we bring it down to action? How do we solve the real challenges that face us on an everyday basis? And in today's conversation, I'm hoping we can talk to real practitioners to peel the onion and get to know how we can discuss what really matters. I'm joined by some amazing people to have this discussion. I'm going to get you guys to introduce each other instead of me trying to introduce. So shall we start with you, Serene?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. And I introduced Dr. Vishnu. And I was told that this name Vishnu is very unique and creator of the... What?
They are the preserver of the universe, Lord Vishnu.
Preserver of the universe,
Yeah.
yeah. And today, he is the head of AI and innovation for Kyndryl in ASEAN and Korea. What a better place, right? That it's become a Dr. AI. So I knew him from his brother first, we colleagues in another company.
Wow.
So I get to know him, his brother, and we did talk about
That's right.
Vishnu.
Yep.
Until I met him in Kyndryl, I was very surprised. Yeah, and we met in Google Next as well.
That's right.
So very happy that we have him as a champion for Google AI, and that by Dr. AI.
Thanks.
Excellent. Okay, Vishnu, over to you then.
And very happy to introduce Serene. Serene is the country director for Singapore and Malaysia, and she's one of the biggest champions for AI, and of course for Kyndryl as well. So thank you so much for doing that, Serene. Really appreciate
Thank you.
the collaboration.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Then we should go with you.
Right.
Novitria,
Yeah, I will introduce Dr. Ah-Jung, just from Mirxes group. This is my first time meeting her, so we're going to get to know each other better from this.
We will.
Excellent. Dr. Ah-Jung, you have no choice but to introduce her.
Yes, I had a chance to catch her name, Novi. Very nice to meet you. She's from SAESL. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And apparently SAESL is this really fancy group that is maintaining and refurbishing the aircrafts. And I only learned today that almost all the aircrafts are using Rolls-Royce engine.
Yeah.
How cool
Especially
is
the
that?
long haul ones.
Especially the long haul ones. Yeah.
And she
Very
keeps
cool.
them safe. She services them. Make sure that we all get to enjoy our ride over millions of miles around the world.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jeon, maybe I should call you Ah-Jung.
You can call me Ah-Jung.
You have a great title, Senior Bioinformatician. It's a mouthful. Can you tell us what does that really mean?
So bioinformatician is, you can break that down into like two words. One is biology and the other is informatics. So you can think of us as like the data scientists who specialize in analyzing biological data. But my expertise is analyzing the sequencing data. So if you were to send your samples for genome sequencing, transcriptome sequencing, any kind of sequencing, then they need to be analyzed, and people like me do that job. Yeah.
Excellent. And you are currently with Mirxes, and you guys are really focused on early detection, prevention of cancer.
Yes.
So how has AI been, how long have you been, or AI has been in this, and how much progress are we really making to, combat this really challenging disease that impacts so many millions of people around the world?
So cancer research has, I would say, broadly two areas. One is the diagnostic area, and the other is the therapeutics. So AI is involved in, I think one that people hear a lot about using AI for cancer research is things like AlphaFold from Google. It's used in drug discovery research and all those things, which made Nobel Prize. Phenomenal. But we are in the other side of the industry, so we do diagnostics. And it's, people think that AI is new, but it's been around for a long time. It's just the general public is starting to hear more about this term AI. But in cancer diagnostics, the problem that we've been dealing with at the end of the day is a classical binary classification problem. And the question is whether there is a tumor or there's no tumor. And it used to be before. So when people say AI, it can include things like the machine learning, it can include deep learning, and then now we have the generative AI and large language models. But now what we do is, with the advancement in deep learning and AI in general, we can let the data speak. So we are generating these tons of genomic data, and what we can now do is we can let the data speak, and we can employ these sophisticated algorithms, which is AI, to discover the targets that we are going to use in the diagnostic. Yeah.
What are you doing currently? Can you give us a glimpse into how you're using AI today? What kind of initiatives or projects you're running?
So for kind of classical application would be the cancer detection. So we have a large-scale clinical trial going on. So we're trying to build a multi-cancer detection kit, and it's really challenging in a sense. And AI is helpful to navigate the complexity of the research question. So I actually brought these today to kind of demonstrate the challenge in our task. So this is a vial of blood that we collect. It's a 6 ml of blood that we collect. And out of it, at the end of the day, what we do is we bring it down to this much of bodily fluid, serum or plasma or whatever. Not all these tubes, but one tube of it can run a single test that we make. And it's a tiny fraction of it, right? And out of this tiny fraction, most of the information that we get out of it is going to be of the healthy tissue and healthy cells. Probably 0.01% of the readout that we get is going to be from cancer cell. So the challenge is there is the technological challenge of extracting the right amount of information from such tiny volume of input. But also we are extracting like gigabytes of data from one sample. And majority of that information is going to be irrelevant to the cancer detection because it's going to be about the healthy tissues information. So how AI can help is it can help us to detect the pattern that's coming from cancer cells that human interpretation alone may not catch.
And what are the biggest challenges in this journey, to using AI? Is it the data? Is it organizing it? Is it is it the access to computing? What are the, is it compliance? Is it dealing with the regulation? What slows you down the most?
So I would say we are limited by the availability of the foundation models that we can use because small companies, even sizable companies, it's just too expensive to build the foundation models ourselves. So right now, to be honest, the kind of data that we generate is genomics data. It's in ATCG sequences. So we can't use models like ChatGPT or Gemini or anything like that onto our genomic data because they're not using the same language as so we say. So that's a bottleneck, but we are very excited to and I'm personally really grateful for organizations like Google to pioneer and lead research into building different foundation models based on different data structures. Like so AlphaFold is one, and the most recent one that's been released that's relevant to us is the Alpha Genome.
I'm really very inspired by what she described. And Google is a very big organization.
Yes.
So AlphaFold, Genome, all this, it's actually in the research arm of Google called DeepMind.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know the Gemini model that you see is also come out from a DeepMind research. Yeah, so and we have 2 of them that got into Nobel Prize last year. Very inspiring. Yeah, it's really how Google, and when we build the Gemini, is how do we help the life to be better? What kind of societal impact that we want to bring? Yeah, so of course this is a continuous evolution. You will see it will get better and better. Like when I first started in Google about 2 years ago, I joined in late November 2023. I attended the Google Next in 2024. That's where I first met Dr. Vishnu. At that time, it was impressive, but not really that jump up. But the last Google Next that we had in April this year, it's almost that 12 months different. The amount of advancement is really mind-blowing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's where even the journalists have used this very fanciful, and I love this tagline that they use. It's from Google being from catch up to catch us. And that also makes Google very different because the full stack of Google when we build is not just an infrastructure provider. There's this, we have this model, which we call Gemini. And on top of that, security and all those become very important. Because end of the day, it's powerful to have AI, but is it effective? Does it serve my purpose? Does it really meaningful in some extent? And you do see some client, they partner together with Google to build some of this model to be more relevant. And I understand the challenge of the smaller company because building large language model, it takes a lot of effort and the money.
It's too expensive.
Yeah, so we need to get the ecosystem together. And this is where when you look at Google as that ecosystem, that to bring along the ecosystem.
Vishnu, how are you helping address this challenge that companies like Mirxes are facing?
It's a great point. So I think Serene made a really nice point, right? So the large language models that are being developed, right? So I don't think very many organizations around the world can really create those. So what we do as Kyndryl is we actually leverage the large language models developed by Google to help companies like Mirxes, right? So we are the partners for Google and several others, and where we actually use these models to help Mirxes get the insights that they require. So sort of the go-between, if you will, right? So,
correct.
And this is a very a common play for many of the GSIs like Kyndryl to actually leverage the large language models that have been developed, but then really create the the sort of the layers around it, the wrappers around it, to serve organizations like Mirxes and SAESL derive the maximum sort of benefit from using these large language models.
Let's move from cancer to some things that we fly hundreds of thousands of miles every year, many of us, and they love picking up frequent flyer miles. And Novi makes sure that the Rolls-Royce engines work extremely well. Singapore is also one of the great hubs for MRO in the world, top 3. Despite being an expensive place many times to operate business, SAESL and companies in Singapore are playing a pivotal role in the global aviation space. So what are you doing with AI? How is it helping you?
Right. It's been a long journey, I think, coming up to this. So we've done initially a single source of truth implementation to get our data sorted. But we've had a lot of challenges in really configuring AI to our environment, right? So an airplane engine is a very complex apparatus, if you can call it that way. One engine has 18,000 parts, and some are very large, as tall as me, if that's called tall, and some are very, very tiny, right? So it's very, very complex operation, and it's quite difficult for us to build. So in the past, without Gen AI or AI models being that democratized, we had spent 12 months, more than 12 months, to build an AI for our use cases. But now, it's helping us, and you'll be able to get even the first prototyping, you could do it like in a day, right, with Gemini. That helps a lot for us. Yeah, so we're exploring a lot of AI, particularly around the back office kind of environment. Because as you said, Singapore is a very expensive place to do business. The labor cost rate is much higher than the surrounding countries. So we need to be a lot more efficient.
So can you say you're seeing a significant productivity benefit? How do you measure the success of what you have done so far? Is it reduced time to prototype? Is it reduced cost of serving clients?
There's a lot of levers in this area. So the first one is in terms of our productivity benefit. There's a lot of time involved in planning an engine through the facility. There is also a lot of labor spent to visually detect defects on parts, right? We actually see that it can bring down up to 60% around there. And that's a lot of benefit. So for us, we are also fortunate to be at a peak of like a growth journey. So in that sense, we're actually bringing up our capacity from 300 engines per year to 400 engines per year. So that's massive. And you can't do that by just increasing the number of people, right? You've got to bring in all these levers for your productivity.
And as you embarked on this project, what are the biggest challenges you faced? Is it data? Is it compliance? Is it governance? Is it scaling it? Is it talent? Is it getting the adoption amongst teams?
Right. I would always say a lot of times your project failed because of people, right? So the change management is really important. And for us, I would kind of divide the use cases between engine related and back office kind of related. So engine related is a bit more challenging for us to implement because you've got to get Rolls-Royce to approve it. And that sometimes is a lengthy process. But on the back office, that's where you really need to get people to be trained up to use AI, for example, people to start changing their mindset around how do I use AI? How are they going to be impacted by AI? Yeah, so to us, I think that's a lot of the difficulty. And of course, this highlighted, we are not tech company. So a lot of these initiatives like the AI CTO really help us because we can't do it on our own. Yeah.
And are there some specific challenges with data and technology that you have faced, and how do you overcome those?
We've been pretty fortunate because I've implemented the single source of truth to start off with, right? So that cleans up our data. But the challenge is then the soft data, right? So that's where the natural query comes in. The data that's like numerical is fairly easy for us to look at. Now, things like the technical instructions, those are a very linguistic type of data, right? Which we weren't able to work around that. So with the LLMs in place and the natural query, I think that's where, it's the next phase of implementation that we will look at.
And what do you think, will give SAESL the competitive advantage over a period of time? Are these initiatives enough? Where do you see How do you see you will build that competitive advantage?
I would say our competitive advantage really hinges on the ecosystem. So we have EDB, we have Google, we have Kyndryl. All these ecosystem helps us to put us in that competitive advantage because honestly, we can't do it alone.
Yeah, Serene, we two great examples, and we always hear about AI, we hear about productivity, using it in the office. Here we have two real industries transforming at breakneck speed thanks to it. So how is Google helping enterprises in this journey? Is it really, are you broadening the base? Are you supporting more enterprises? How do you make this happen at a much bigger pace?
So 2023, when we first started, that is the stage where people are still very early in the understanding of the AI. And we launched this AI Trailblazer program with Singapore government, and it was more as a sandbox, right, where we get different company came in who think through. So sandbox is the playground, so they can go and play around and look at what is useful and all those. So that gave us a lot of good insight as to how should we or what should we do so that people can not just playing around with it, not experimenting, but really deploy production. And that's why last year we started our first cohort of the AI CTO. AI CTO in the full name is called AI Cloud Takeoff Program. It's for the adoption purpose. And Kyndryl is in our early cohort for this pilot that we launched last year, October. Now we picked only about 30 companies. And it's also for us to, instead of we just go to the mass market, we want to get the early learnings and the tips to see how do we really help and to make it impactful. So AI Cloud Takeoff Program is part of the ECI program where government set aside about close to 150 million. If you listen to the budget, that was the number that is being called out there. So AI Cloud Takeoff Program is one of the programs that driving this kind of adoption and also helping many of these companies, like the smaller firm, and even the traditional enterprises, that it's not just about the money they have and the resources, it's really about knowledge and how do we help them to bring them across. So this AI CTO program that we are running together in partnership with Kyndryl is really exactly that. It's not just about providing technology, it's to provide the blueprint.
Can you tell us some real world applications, let's say, of agentic AI?
Okay, if I don't know whether do y'all see the news on FairPrice in Punggol Digital District? Last week we have our CEO here in town. So we were quite bold and we launched our CEO roundtable right in the middle of shopping mall. So if you look at that and they show a couple of Gen AI or agentic AI scenario. One is on that the shopping carts where you have palettes and to show what you want and they will recommend to you. So it's become like you're having a shopping buddy and assistant next to you. That include the payments. The next counter that they show us is on the wellness assessment. So you stand onto that machine scale. Today they can tell you what is your BMI, your weights and your waist and your fats and all those. But how does it translate to what do you need to buy for your supplements? So that's again another agentic AI or wine recommendation. Based on the budget that you have, the food that you're cooking, and the occasion that you're in, what type of wine should I buy? Because there's so many wines there. So there will be this kind of recommendation as well. So these are all the example of agentic AI, where they make it, it's not just about solving one problem, it's really a series of processes that you having your personalized service.
Correct. And we always, one of the things you recommend companies to do is set up an AI center of excellence to be able to scale it correctly. So what do you recommend as the ideal way for, how should companies go about building and scaling AI centers of excellence?
I think first is, I like what you say just now, mindset. Mindset shift is important. You need to make being an AI first culture in your organization. And this sponsorship has to come from CEO and cascade downwards to everybody. It cannot be just one division or one department because the impact will not be there. So if you want to scale your AI, that's the first thing is CEO sponsorship, top down, and also getting all the next level to be part of this, and making AI as AI first culture is important. And the other example is making sure, because end of the day we are deployed because we are being employed. That is something that we are helping the company to solve, right? All of us, we have some problem statement. All of us, there's some issue that we are trying to solve and trying to do for the company. Turn all this, be very bold, look at the 10x possibility. What can AI do for you? If you start with this and you start off, your possibility is limitless. It's only limited by what you can imagine. But if you just open up horizon, like the cancer detection part, right? You can think very bold, and those are possible. And this is what Google believe. We believe in 10x thinking. Because we felt if you want to solve thing, don't solve the small one. It doesn't move the needle.
What does it take to build a great AI COE?
So we are in the process of figuring that out. And I wanted to point out that what we found really valuable from working with Kyndryl on this AI takeoff is they didn't just come in to like build a AI product for us, but concurrently we've been having the discussion on how can Mirxes set up the AI COE so that after this 6 months program, we can go on to build more. And that's, I think, really, really valuable, and not just walking away with an AI product. So I thought I would mention it because that's been really great working with Kyndryl in that sense.
What are the critical elements of a COE? How do you think how should organizations approach it?
Right. So I think before I answer that, right, so I think just going back to what Serene said, so the Cloud Takeoff program, I think is one of the landmark programs in Singapore for AI. I think the way it is structured is it gives you the ability to really work with organizations like Mirxes or SAESL to really understand the fundamental challenges that are there. I'm not talking about use cases, really understanding what kind of skill sets do they currently have, what kind of organizational makeup do they have, and then really walk them through the process of how do you get to a center of excellence. And center of excellence is, is not really just putting a collection of people, hiring a bunch of people, putting them all together. It's really defining what the different roles are, what will these roles help you to achieve, and together what kind of business outcomes do you drive as an organization, right? And once again, going back to what Serene said, it really requires top-down support in terms of your CEO or your CXOs really want to have an AI first culture within the organization, right? And that empowers everybody, below to really start on the AI journey. So the AI Cloud Takeoff program really allows us to do that. And not just that, really beyond the consulting phase of the AI Cloud Takeoff program, we work with organizations to build something viable like an MVP that really works. I'm not talking POCs, right? We're really talking MVPs that can very easily scale to production. So it's a very nice structured program that is enabling us to work with organizations and really empower them to not only build their AI COEs, but also come up with a viable product by the end of 6 months, which they can quickly move to production.
Excellent. You want to comment on that COE thing? What are the critical elements or building blocks of a good COE, which companies like Mirxes and SAESL and even my organization?
So all these, contribute to what kind of a center of excellence do you need? So typical center of excellence, the kind of personas you need these days, you would need data scientists, AI engineers, AI architects, you need business analysts, you need responsible AI folks, right? Which is a very, very important topic, and Google is spearheading a lot of these. Security aspects in AI. You need, of course, the project management aspects, and of course, then you need the leadership of the team to actually drive the AI center of excellence. So these are the typical, from a persona standpoint, what you need. And of course, you also have from a workflow perspective, right? So how do you look at use cases as they come in? How do you prioritize use cases? Is there a mechanism in which you have a team of experts like Dr. Ah-Jung here, who can facilitate the use case discussions and then move it towards production and the build out of the use case? And then how do you do these things in waves? Not just like a one-off product. How do you come up with an AI factory model? So AI COEs need to be an AI factory, right? They need to enable you to churn out AI. Obviously driving business outcomes, but it needs to be a model that can help you really derive benefit out of all the structures you've put in place.
Yeah.
what I think is really essential for every company who's trying to go down this journey is making sure that there are people in the organization who are innovators and who are dynamic and who are open to quickly adapting to new technology, in this case, AI. Because I found that probably the biggest internal challenge that is going to come to hinder the AI COE building up is the internal resistance of people who may view it as, oh, why should we do this? Our traditional model is working. Why should we do that? There's all these things. So when the entire organization is very static, it's very difficult to set this up. So it's like what Serene said, it needs to come from the top down, but also the company needs to have, it can be a small group of people, but the company needs to have these group of innovators who will take charge and be responsible to make the changes.
Yeah. And this is to the point where, people always look at Google as being innovative company. How do we come out with so many products? So I want to share something that what we did internally, we call 20% of the projects, which today in Google, we just allow anybody to volunteer that they want to do 20% of the projects beyond their day job. Yeah. So in your AI COE, if you think these are people that you handpick, make it 20% project for these people, and that they become a champion, partnering with the leadership team, and also create some kind of like career exposure, right? And it's a win-win. People will love it.
How do you support it? It's one thing to say do 20%.
Yeah.
How do you make it? Is there an incentive? Is there? How do you bring it to action? Like the practicality of saying, hey, Vishnu, 20% outside of his day job, which is already buried in today. Anyway.
Of course, it has to be ultimately help my career growth, right? And the money that I take home, right? My career progression. So actually, what we built in is every quarter we have our performance check-in. So you can describe what you do in your 20% of the projects, and that will be taken into consideration for your potential and your talent. Collaboration, which is become people knew that 20% will ultimately help you to score points, additional points. Because if that you and I are in the same job, that we are both equally good, what differentiates us is that 20%. It's the extra that you put in.
I'm going to come to all of you before we close. What is the 20% you would like to do? Okay.
Wow.
No, wait, that's easy. That's AI for us.
There you go.
Let me ask Gemini. Let me ask.
You'll go and ask Gemini, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this question to Serene and Vishnu, thanks for the lighter moment. I think we started with cancer and that just got us all.
Sorry about that.
No, I think, So maybe this question to Serene and Vishnu, what are these, is it really, where do you see the use cases? Is it cost, like cost optimization, productivity? Is it revenue? Is it, completely innovating and getting into a new business area? You are working with a cohort of companies across aerospace, healthcare, manufacturing, retail. Where are you seeing? Where is the, give us a landscape of the kind of things that you are seeing. Maybe we start with you, Vishnu.
Sure. No, it's a great question, right? So I think when we start off the journey with generative AI and of course AI as well, I'll talk about Gen AI maybe, right? Focusing on generative AI. We saw a lot of productivity enhancements to kick off the journey, right? So I would say 23, 24, I think was all productivity enhancements, do things faster, and reduce time for doing things. But I think we're slowly turning the corner. I think we're now slowly getting to, revenue enhancement use cases. And we are seeing some as we're working with some clients through the EDB cohort, with Google, is we're finding cases. In fact, we just had, a conversation with a client this morning in our office where they had a very interesting use case about how they plug revenue leakages and also drive productivity enhancements. I said, this is a fantastic use case. It's actually solving, two things at once, which is like the, the holy grail of AI, right? So this is a great use case. And we're also seeing a lot of revenue from, starting to create recommendation engines, for clients, user experience enhancements to ensure that, when they have an app, you can use generative AI to actually guide the user in a way that they, are more driven towards investing more using a certain fintech application, for example. So we're seeing a lot of these revenue use cases coming through the door, and I think that's going to be the trend going forward. I think as we got off the bat, it was all productivity. I think they still are. There's still a lot of productivity enhancement use cases, and nothing wrong with that. But we have turned the corner in revenue.
Yeah. What is AI for growth? Because it really worries me. AI seems to be all productivity, cutting costs. Is there AI for growth, Serene?
Yeah, definitely. So I define use case or the way you compartmentalize of where to focus in 3 big pillars. First, customer experience. Think about your AI solving your customer experience, driving customer experience. Yeah, that is external, one extreme end. The other one is revenue growth, scale the business growth trajectory. Like you saw the reports on DBS that he talks about how much they have gained or created the value through AI, 740 million in last year. And this year they're very ambitious. They're aiming for 1 billion from there. So definitely that is one. So but when you look at your use cases, very clear that is customer experience, growth, and what is the centerpiece? Is your operation. Yeah, which is your back-end office, your operation productivity, your employee productivity, your employee experience, all this fall under this category. So I see when you look at AI, always look at these 3 pillars that you're trying to solve. So of course, ideally, if you can scale all 3, it's a win. Yeah, if not, you start somewhere. Because some AI use cases maybe will be like what Vishnu was saying, it covers both sides. Fantastic. So as you design, when you pick your problem statement, ask yourself, is this customer experience, operational, or growth? It will always fall back into these 3.
Yeah. How do you balance it? Is there any, how do you balance productivity with job creation, talent development? As organizations, we don't want to just let go of people because we see, so many jobs could be automated. Is there anything that you see?
Yeah. So, I don't think AI is a reason for letting go of people. I think AI is augmenting people's skills, right? So we're doing a lot more with a lot lesser, right, and a lot faster and more effectively, and of course using Gemini and other models, right? So I think it's really amplifying what folks are doing, and it's doing in really the right way. So I really don't. Being an AI guy, I don't think I'm going to say AI is a threat, right? I really see people, leveraging AI for everything that they're doing, right? Really augmenting the work that they're doing.
Yep. AI is not going to replace you, but you could be potentially replaced by someone who knows AI better than you.
That's right.
How do you do scalable? We talked a lot about opportunity, but let's also come practically to governance, compliance, and also doing it right, right? Because it's fun to do it, but I start exposing and serving customer problems. I'm worried now, you need compliance. You need to be careful what we are committing to customers. So how do you do scalable? What are, let's say, 2 or 3 prerequisites as you go down that approach to scaling it, beyond these MVPs to truly embedding it across the organization?
Right. So doing AI responsibly is a fundamental facet for Kyndryl, and I believe it is for Google as well. They've championed many responsible AI works. So we look at it across many different facets, fairness, ethics, accountability, transparency, governance, privacy, security. So all these form the different pillars of what we call as responsible AI adoption within organizations. And when we drive AI adoption, so we look at each of these pillars. Any use case, we kind of go through all of these pillars to ensure that all these are properly met and they're satisfied, to make sure that this becomes a fundamental use case to scale. I think once you check all these boxes, I think scalability is becomes sort of the natural next step for it.
I have an answer for this. Very short answer. Just choose Google. But it's really like when you look at Google, it's from infrastructure stack to the security layer and also the data and the AI. It's all there. And you don't have all this, challenges about how do I make sure that it's responsible, secure. All these are being taken care of. That's why I say the short answer is just choose Google Cloud.
Okay, wonderful. Excellent. Anything else we want to talk about before I go to a rapid fire kind of a thing?
Okay, so the compliance, governance, and regulation of AI is a huge issue in healthcare. And the reason is because in healthcare and biotech area and pharma, we deal with patients' data. And when we think about using AI for applications in our field, we have to think about the safety. So the potential risk of using AI, and if AI gives a wrong answer or something like that, the potential risk is so much worse than just getting a wrong answer in retail AI. It's not just losing money, it's like losing lives. So this is why we are seeing completely separate regulatory bodies coming in and trying to regulate AI. And one main component that all these different regulatory bodies are really emphasizing is the transparency and interpretability of AI. So I think going forward, it's really important for these AI models or any products developed based on AI to not be a black box magic. And that's what a lot of people think they are. And in healthcare and biotech and pharma, we are naturally a very conservative group of people because of the huge risk that might take a toll on patients' lives. And it's really important for things to be visible, explainable, so that we don't just have an efficient AI model, but we have an AI model that is trustable from everybody who's using it, not just from the developers, but also from the doctors and clinicians, and also patients. Because as we are at some point in our lives, we are all patients. We need to be able to trust this artificial intelligence that's saying something about my health. And so I would say those are one of the big challenges that we face in healthcare AI. Yeah.
Excellent.
Right. I think it's interesting. We're both kind of from fairly slow-moving industries in some sense.
Yeah.
But for a right reason, right? There needs to be a lot of checks and balances in place. For aerospace, I think where it is at, we are really looking at AI to be more of a suggestion to make sure that we really put in the checks in place from people who are licensed in it. But I think it's only going to get better from here as we develop frameworks to deploy AI responsibly within aerospace.
I put some rapid fire question and we just go quickly around.
Sure.
Okay.
What is your favorite book or podcast or anything that you were very inspired by when you talked about or heard about AI?
It's not a book, but it was an article. It was an article on, I think, MIT Technology Review, and probably was featured in other websites as well. I forgot the name of the author, but I vaguely remember the title, which was "The Future of Generative AI is Niche and Not Generalized." And I was so inspired by it because I think this article was published in 2023, so at the early stage of this publicly available Gen AI models. But when I read it, I thought it was so true because, and only now we are really witnessing how that sentence is taking place in real life. You know, all these generalized foundation models are they are going to be saturated at some point, but the real use cases, often large foundation models, are too big to employ for specialized needs, and usually and like at the same time, users like us are becoming more mature, so we are now at the point of being able to identify the specialized niche areas of application. So generally we are going to move towards that direction of building and applying and using the specialized forms of generative AI instead of just simply using a generalized foundation model. Yeah. So I was inspired by that article.
Awesome. Anybody else? Anything? What? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll not a book, but I think very similar. I think an article I read on Archive, which was written by the CEO of Databricks, right, a while back, which is about frugal GPT, right? So how do you start leveraging, generative AI models in a frugal manner, optimizing the cost of usage, and how do you architect in a way that you cache it and you do a few other things to ensure that the token usage, etc., is sort of optimized. And I thought that was a very nice concept that we also talk about this to clients, right? Because I know the cost of tokens are now coming down quite a bit, but having said that, there is still a cost factor to it. So how do you advise clients on, how do you optimize your cost while using models? I thought that was a very interesting take.
Okay, next one then. What is do you have any biggest fear associated with AI?
Not really. I think I welcome it.
Really, for me, it's like misdiagnosing when we start using AI models. That's like the biggest fear.
Any fear?
Laziness in thinking. I think sometimes people outsource the thinking too much, and that shouldn't be the case.
Sure.
Yeah, you should use it to help you instead.
Yeah, very true. I see the younger generation. Before even thinking, they're going and asking it,
Yes.
which is a big concern and worry. Yeah.
You lost the ability to think, even in the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's also preventing them from fully utilizing these models,
Correct.
because in order to really use things like Gemini very well, the magic lies in the prompting.
Exactly.
But people are becoming too lazy to even give detailed prompt.
One of my sort of good uses of Gemini, right, for example, and I have the professional version of Gemini on my phone, right? So, and the way I use it is, if I want to really learn about a topic, I used to do a Google search earlier, download all the different articles and sort of synthesize the information. What I now do is get it to at least find the top articles which are viewed the most, and then I go read those myself, right? So that you're really not outsourcing the entire thinking
Exactly.
to AI, but really gets you to channel all your energies into a specific set of articles that are really consumed by several folks. And I get the top hits and I read all of those, right? So that's, I thought that was a good way to do it.
Yeah. Any personal use of AI that you use it personally? What do you use it for in your personal capacity?
I use Notebook LM to do my studying. It helps to draw up the mind map. It can even generate podcasts. It's really interesting. From a dry source, it can have a podcast that's engaging.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you for doing that. I actually wanted to say the same. I use Notebook LM as well. Yeah, where especially reading multiple articles and all those, it takes time to read. But I wanted to know what is the summary, what are some comparison differences. I also attach all the article, and then the Notebook LM helps me to analyze, give me the summary. Then I can start asking question, right? That I don't have to read. I just keep asking question.
So, Serene talked about, 20% passion projects. If you had 20% of your time at work to do a passion project, what would that be? Put it back to work?
Yeah, no, I would, I think, just sit down and code if I had the time.
Really?
Actually, yeah, I would love to. So like I said, the bulk majority of data that we deal with is genomics data. And it's also not the traditional whole genome sequencing data, but it's what we call whole methylation sequencing data. It's a variant of genomic data. But I'm really interested in building a foundation model that can speak these epigenetic modifiers, because I think it's possible to treat our data as a whole, and I envision having a model that can tell me, okay, when I go through all of your data from this patient, it looks like it's from a cancer patient versus it looks like it's from, or maybe it looks like it's from somebody with cardiovascular disease, something like that. So that's sort of kind of an idealized project that I have in mind.
Serene, you must be already doing it.
Personal life or the work life?
Passion project.
Passion project in the work life. I think I'm very inspired by the use cases that company can deploy and bring impact to their business. I hope I can do more with the different companies, especially those like when you mentioned about large language models, some challenges, because to navigate in Google is not that straightforward. So I hope I can be a little help, be able to be your Google within Google. So that would be my 20%. So hopefully something that we would be very proud of. Yeah.
Excellent. Novi?
Actually, I would do the same as Vishnu to build something on my own. So sometimes I think in order for you to know how to project manage, you still need to hold on to that skill set of building on your own. Yeah.
Okay, last one. If you had one hope that AI will solve, or hope with AI, anybody?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that Mirxes will do the early detection of cancer really, really early. So I think that's one big hope. I think cancer detection, early cancer detection.
Super early cancer detection. That is super accurate.
That's super accurate.
Bespoke engine work scope. If it can tell you what the engine's gonna have in terms of repair before it even reaches Singapore, that will be awesome.
Cool.
How far away are we from it, do you think?
A little far.
Serene?
For me, because I'm in this space of technology, I could feel that the way how we compete in the market sometimes are very intense. But the AI, there's so much that they can bring to the world and impact. My hope is, how do I get everybody don't see each other as competitor, but see each other as coexistent and a partnership that we can come together and create a better world together.
Excellent. Hey, fabulous. That was a really fun chat, and I think you guys have all been very generous with your time, and I learned so much today. So thank you all. Thank you, Serene, Vishnu,
Thank you.
Ah-Jung, and Novi. And thank you, Google and Kyndryl, for bringing us together for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you for the partnership, Kyndryl.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Google.
Thank you.